What's up, guys? We're back with another Marvel Legends review, taking a look at the most recent, well, it will be anyway, Walgreens exclusive. We're taking a look at Jigsaw, which is bringing back the villains motif. So we had the Zemnu wave last year, right? And it was all bad guys, and the Walgreens exclusives going forward are going to be bad guys. This guy is out abroad, and that's how I have gotten my hands on him. He's not currently, I don't believe, being found in Walgreens just yet. He is, of course, still a standard Marvel Legends figure, so you've got him there in our regular style packaging. So figure in the window with just a mountain of accessories. You've got the super villain sort of logo down there on the bottom. You've got a shot of him squaring up on the side panels, and in the back has a larger format shot of that same image. And since there's no additional roster cross-sell to showcase, you get a bigger shot of artwork back there with a tiny little bio for our mangled-faced friends. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package. By all accounts, a very basic Marvel Legends figure, our Jigsaw. And, you know, I say basic in the sense that there's really not anything too striking about the majority of this figure. A lot of old parts, a lot of reuse, but it's all about the complete package, which is essentially a large number of accessories for a Marvel Legends figure and this wild head sculpt. So there is a lot going on here that is stuff we're very familiar with, but I think he's mostly got it where it counts. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. You got a head that can look up really, really good. He can look down pretty good despite having like the brace around his neck, which I do find mine is a little bit warped because of how it sits on him, but it doesn't really get in the way of his articulation too much. He's still able to like get really far down. Got some tilt. A little bit of bobble. Got your rotation, you know, arms up and out at the sides. They can rotate. You got your bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows. This is, you know, pinned still. We've got vertical hinges on both wrists and rotation. And then at the waist, the torso, you know, you are going to have some impeded articulation here because he's got a jacket on and it's very, very form-fitting. So you'll get him to go forward, you know, a little bit. That's mostly bending at the hips too. You'll have to find that sweet spot to get him sort of bent over correctly. You can rotate just fine though. Doesn't get in the way there. Legs go out only about this far. And that's not necessarily the jacket getting in the way. That's just the limitations on the legs. They go far forward just fine though. So despite the jacket being in the way, it doesn't really get in the way. Not much backwards. You've got your thigh twist up there. Double jointed. Knees still with the pins. So again, older stuff. And then since there is the actual pant legs, and this is a separate piece, you've got rotation at the ankle, so this whole thing rotates, and you get some really nice rocker. Like that's a broken foot right there. And then you've got a pretty good hinge too. It doesn't go as far forward as it does backward, but it still moves just fine. So he's basically what you expect. If you've messed with any of these sort of suited characters when it comes to Legends, you basically know what you're getting into. Pretty normal, pretty par for the course, but a little bit restricted when it comes to that torso. Just, well, you can see why. For me, though, this figure is all about the aesthetics, the visuals, because he has, I mean, let's face it, he's got a pretty gnarly head sculpt, a wild, wild face, and this guy is one of the more early instances of a comic book figure being heavily subjected to photo real. Now, of course, there's nothing photo real about him, but photo printing is heavily used on this figure, and we'll get to that here in a second. So, you know, he is, again, a pretty basic Marvel Legends figure, white suited body, lots of old stuff, but I think it works. You know, there's a couple bodies out there, a couple parts, and I think this one works okay. He looks a little bit beefier because of this jacket and tie setup, so the tie actually pushes the jacket out a bit more, so it makes him look a little bit, I don't know, it makes him look a little bit stockier, a little bit more rough and tumble a little bit, so I'm okay with that. The white is consistent and stark all the way through, so it's very, very white. What paint he does have, you know, you've got like the kerchief, and you've got the buttons. Those are painted really well, even on the wrist down here, so those are all hit pretty nicely. I do have a scuff on the back. I can probably take that off. But he does look pretty good. He comes with gripping hands and a trigger finger hand. He doesn't get any extra hands, though, which I do feel is kind of a miss. but he's got, a gripping and a trigger finger to cover all the high points when it comes to weaponry. But he is, again, and I'm not saying this in a negative sense, he's a pretty basic figure, but he's just a dude in a suit. So that's fine. It works pretty well here. I would love to see some pinless stuff going on, since he is, of course, a brand new figure. He's not a redo or anything like that. So he's new. I kind of wish he had something that wouldn't have to be replaced later down the road if they decided to revisit him, which I don't see why they would, but I'm going to mention it now. He does have the little neck brace thing here. I'm going to pop the head off. So you've got this piece right here, and it's just kind of like that swirly metallic plastic. I think he looks okay with it off, honestly. Looks a little bit cleaner to me, actually. And I do find that this is warping a little bit, likely because of how it was packaged, how it was sitting on there. So you can kind of play around with that yourself and see what suits you best. But I may end up going, on the off chance I don't worry about losing it, I may go without that, because I do think it makes him look a little bit more clean to me. Now, all that said and done, the big thing, literally, about this figure is the head sculpt and the face, because it's absolutely gnarly. It's crazy. There is a ton of detail. All the money for this figure went into the head sculpt. There is no doubt about it. It all went into the head, and he is just carved up. He's got, scars and sutures and stitches. He's got one eye absolutely bugging out. He's got his whole, mouth ripped apart. He's got sutures going through his hair, on the back of his head. Not a whole lot back there, but they do have some representation on the hair sculpt side of the figure, not just the face. Tons of little stitches and sutures all over him, and the expression alone is just intense and very menacing. And again, very, very heavily photo printed. From a distance, I think he looks great. On your shelf, you're not going to see anything, but when you get super, super close to this guy, you're going to see all of that sort of quote-unquote dot matrixy style printing just explode. So up close, it is kind of off-putting and, a little bit ugly. But when you get like a foot away, you can't really tell, and it looks so much better than any traditional older style Legends paint job would have been. So this is fantastic. I'm really happy to see this kind of work its way into comic stuff, because that's my focus when it comes to Legends, by the largest of margins. So to see this more accurate and just more detailed paint job hit a comic book figure does work really well. And I think this is a good guinea pig to start showing this off, because there is just so much sculpt and so much need for more fine paintwork up there. Now, as far as accessories goes, this guy does have quite a bit of stuff. It's all stuff we've seen before in one way or another, but for a Legends figure, he's got a lot. He's pretty well packed. He is, however, like I mentioned, I feel like he's missing hands. I feel like he should have some fists just to, punch somebody in the face, but he only comes with these. So it's not the end of the world, because he does come with so much stuff. There's probably one or two things here I would have liked to have traded out for fists, I think is probably what I'm trying to say. So as far as what he does come with, we get the baseball bat. We saw this most recently with Hammerhead, I believe. We get the machete. This came with Viking Punisher, the Rider one, I think. Someone's going to correct me if I'm wrong. We get the shotgun that also came with Punisher. And then we get a couple of knives. These probably came with a Deadpool years back, I would bet. And all of this looks really good. It's all very much themed as far as colors and everything goes. And then we get some stuff that goes with the shotgun. So the shotgun does have peg holes in it, so you get two of these blast effects. And we've seen this stuff before. So two little blast effects, and we get the little trails of smoke effect too. And we've seen these before, with some of the Black Widow figures. So I do like that. It's like a complete package here with this guy, outside of the fact that he doesn't come with extra hands, which at the end of the day, I can very much live with. I'm sure I got fists somewhere, but he does come with a lot. 4 melee weapons, a gun, and 4 little effect pieces. So quite a robust package, especially when you think of what the average Marvel Legends figure comes with. So yeah, overall, this guy is pretty solid. He's kind of like two halves of a whole, really. So most of the figure is, again, a lot of reuse. And I'm not going to sugarcoat that. There's a lot of reuse here. It is a Marvel Legends figure, though, so it's not exactly unexpected. He does, however, have a lot of fitting parts. Like, a lot of this stuff works really well for Jigsaw. He comes with a ton of accessories. I still think he needs some fists, but this is a lot of stuff. For one single figure, he is pretty well loaded. And then at the end of the day, the big thing about this guy is truly that head sculpt. And outside of the fact that when you get, like, under a microscope, you can really see all of that photo printing, and it does look kind of ugly. But if you're just, sort of handling him or he's on the shelf, this face is pretty wild. Tons of detail, great sculpt, and I'm really happy to see that photo reel being used for comic figures. So that's going to do it for this look at the Marvel Legends Jigsaw. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.